The Battle of Cape St. Vincent of 1641 took place on 4 November 1641 between a Spanish fleet commanded by Don Juan Alonso de Idiáquez y Robles and a Dutch fleet led by Artus Gijsels. During the 80 Years' War, 2 Dutch ships were lost and more than 100 of the men were killed, but the cost was higher. 2 Spanish ships with over 1,000 Spanish dead. The remaining Spanish fleet was forced to abandon the town to the Dutch and retreat to Cádiz. Background: in 1641, after the outbreak of the Portuguese Restoration War, the Portuguese government, with Dutch and French help, prepared to start the offensive against Spain at sea. Dom Antonio tells da Silva, who had fought the Dutch in India, was designated commander of squadron of 16 ships, which along of another 30 of the Dutch Republic under Artus Gijsels, was entrusted the mission of capture and hold the Spanish towns of Cádiz and San Lucar. The attempts failed thanks to the fortuitous encounter that they had with 5 Dunkirkers under Judas Peters, who was chasing a flotilla of Algerian privateers off Cape Street. Vincent Peters managed to reach Cádiz without losing a single vessel and put on alert the Marquis of Ayamonte and Don Gaspar Alfonso Pérez de Guzmán, 9th Duke of Medina Sidonia. Gijsels and Tels returned to Lisbon, where Tels was replaced by Tristão de Mendonça, a former ambassador to the Dutch Republic. The Portuguese fleet then sailed with the French fleet of the Marquis de Idiáquez, while the Dutch fleet set sail in order to intercept and capture the Spanish West Indies fleet between the Azores and Cape Street. Vincent: it was a hasty maneuver, since the Dutch ships had orders to return to the country if the West Indies fleet didn't appear before November. Battle: the Spanish squadron of Galicia under Don André de Castro, the squadron of Naples under Don Martin Carlos de Meneos, and the galleons of Don Pedro de Ursua were urgently gathered in Cádiz to intercept the Dutch fleet. The military governor of Cádiz, Don Juan Alonso de Idiáquez y Robles, Duke of Ciudad Real, was appointed commander of the fleet in substitution of the Captain-General, the Duke of Maqueda, who was ill. He was a veteran soldier, having seen action in the siege of Lucata against the French, but was unexperienced in sea battles. Gijsels' fleet was sighted off Cape St. Vincent on 4 November. The Duke of Ciudad Real immediately ordered to attack the major Dutch vessels. After suffering severe casualties, he stopped the attack on the ships to fall back to Cádiz. This conduct dissatisfied King Philip IV, who severely reprimanded, among other officers, Don Martin Carlos de Mencos, Admiral Don Pedro de Ursua, and Captains Pedro Girón, Gaspar de Campos and Adrian Pulido. Michiel de Ruyter was present at this battle as Rear Admiral of the Dutch fleet. Aftermath: some of the Dutch ships under Artus Gijsels, abandoned by the Portuguese and French allies, had to sail back to England to make repairs. Bibliography: Cesareo Fernández Duro, Armada Española desde la Unión de los Reinos de Castilla y de León, Volume IV, Tipográficos Susors de Rivadini, Madrid, 1898. Antonio Espinosa, Semanario Erudito, que comprehend varias obras inéditas de nuestros mejores autores antiguos y modernos. Don Antonio Espinosa, 1790. Agustín Ramón Rodríguez González, Victorias Pomada los Españoles, Biblioteca de Historia, Madrid 2006. R. Prudhomme van Rijn, Rechterhand van Nederland. Biography van Michiel Adriaan Serwan de Ruyter.